What's up, you guys? Hey, it's me, Norma. It's been a minute. A lot has been going on. A lot is still going on. And so I'm just going to share a little update with you. So, for starters, I believe in my last video I mentioned that I had been in the hospital, had a bit of a mental breakdown, which is not uncommon for me, unfortunately. I mean, it's not something that happens like every day, but it has been an ongoing struggle since my late teens. Yeah, anyway, so I've been out of the hospital for 2.5 weeks, I think. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks and then in a outpatient crisis program for about a week, and then came to my dad's place, which is where I am now. I never thought that I would be in my 30s at my parents' house again. One, because going home has never been an option. Like, it's never been an option for me to go back home. And but my dad asked me to come stay with him, partially because the hospital wasn't gonna let me leave and live in my car. Like, they weren't gonna let me do that. But also because I think out of my mom's children, my dad has other children, but out of my mom's children, my dad has assisted both of my siblings, but I've always been just kind of in the wind, on every side of the fence, be it, my mom's side or my dad's side. I just have been roughing it on my own and doing my own thing. So, before I went to the hospital, I was chatting with my dad, just trying to keep in touch with him more often. And I think I'm sure everyone says this, but like, don't take your parents for granted. If you don't have good relationships with them, depending on what kind of issues you have with them, I don't think it's too late. My dad wasn't in the picture a whole lot growing up, so while I saw him often enough, he didn't live with us for the most part, and so I don't really know him. And he's old. Like, my dad is in his 70s, and this is probably my last opportunity to build a relationship with him and to have some kind of connection with him. So I was definitely resistant to the idea of staying with him when he first asked me. But then after the whole hospital incident went down, it was like, well, you have to go with someone. You can't just go live in your car. And while I could have been in like a homeless shelter, that was definitely not something that I wanted to do. A homeless shelter would always be the absolute last resort for me, just because of the horror stories I've heard about people in homeless shelters, especially non-male people. And so that's not something I would sign up for. So I'm 31 years old, living with my dad. I don't know how long I'll be here. I'm not rushing myself to leave. He hasn't given me a timeline, on when I need to vacate. So I'm taking the opportunity, to have help. It has been a struggle for me to ask for help or to accept help when I need it. I don't really know why. I think partially because I've often felt like no one in my family understands me or what I'm going through or my thought processes or my struggles or whatever. And that has been an accurate statement. Um, Most people don't understand, and my mom would get mad when I was younger, and I would be like, "You don't understand, or you wouldn't understand." And her response would always be like, "Don't tell me what I can and cannot understand. You don't know what I'm capable of understanding." And me saying she wouldn't understand wasn't in an effort to say like you're unintelligent or you're not capable of understanding, as it was that I knew she never been in the situations that I've been in, so she wouldn't understand. That she could empathize to the best of her ability, but that would be the beginning and end of it, because I know her story and her story is not like mine. So, anyway, so what am I doing now? So, I left the hospital, left outpatient, and went to work for about a week and a half, and then got COVID, which is what I have right now. I was diagnosed with COVID yesterday, and that's why my voice is sounding kind of raspy, because I have COVID. And honestly, I don't know what I expected it to feel like. I don't even know where I got it from. I do know maybe last week, late last week, I was starting to feel just kind of run down and just not great, like something was wrong. And had a pretty serious panic attack a couple days ago, just because I couldn't get rid of that feeling that something wasn't right. And my anxiety was just completely out of control. It was a really, really rough day. And then I think the next day or the next night, I checked my temperature. You know, when you're getting sick, like, you know, you have a fever when your eyes feel hot. So, at least that's how I know when my eyes feel hot. Like, I'll do the chin and forehead check, you know, like, do I feel hot? Like, yeah, I feel hot. I probably have a fever. But when your eyes get hot, that's like telltale that you've got a fever. So anyway, I did. My fever, my temperature was 100.2. And so the very next day, I had an interview. So I double masked up, and took sanitizer with me everywhere. Excuse myself if I felt like I need a cough, and, you know, just sat there and was quiet. Well, really was orientation. It wasn't really an interview. The interview part was like a 2-minute phone call. But anyway, went and got tested after that. Like immediately after I left, I went and got tested, and they were like, "Yeah, you have COVID." So I didn't know that I had COVID. I honestly thought that it was a combination of allergies, my dad and his girlfriend smoking in the house around the clock. That is definitely what triggered everything as far as my sinuses being all jacked up. Was breathing cigarette smoke all day long. And then with the weather, you know, being on the East Coast, the weather goes from cold to hot to cold to hot, and it just does a lot of flip flopping for a while. And I thought, you know, hey, maybe it's seasonal allergies, and because it's allergies, I'm sneezing and I'm coughing more. And it could have been those things, but it also could have been the onset of COVID, so I don't know. Anyway, so I said that to say I was out of work for 3 weeks, and then went and worked a week and a half. Left work early because I thought it was my period, just like a really bad period coming on. But I think it was the COVID, just based on the amount of body pain I was having. And didn't go to work the next day, and have been out of work since I was diagnosed, because obviously I can't go to work while I'm at risk of spreading this virus. So, what am I doing now? So now I am I would show you my room, but my room is incomplete and is actually kind of messy right now. I'm waiting on a couple of things to do what I really want to do in here, which would be putting in some wallpaper. I found this really cool vinyl wallpaper that's shiny like PVC, so I'm about to have a shiny ass room. Like I'm doing half white, half black, and doing accents in red. So my door is going to be red vinyl, and there's a little cutout in the wall where my heater is. That's going to be red vinyl, and then the adjacent walls will be white, and the uh, walls across will be black. So my bed will be on a black wall, and by the windows a black wall, and then across will be a white wall because that's where the light shines the most. And then across the bed is going to be a white wall because I'm going to have a little projector in my room because I'm not buying a TV. And my laptop is just fine. So, excuse me.